Hello friends, welcome back. This is going to be garden tour number 3 of 2023. As you can see, the arbor garden has changed a little bit. It's got this fence all the way around it, as well as this arbor, this arch that we're standing in front of. Now, this will eventually have a gate as well. I'm waiting for my husband to become available to help me build it because he's really skilled at that type of thing, and he just puts a touch on it that I'm really looking forward to having. Now let's walk over there and see. Now it is right here. Now these zinnias and cosmos are volunteer zinnia and cosmos that came up in the log garden, and I dug them up and brought them up here, and they're looking really good. And then I have noodle beans and then the pole beans right there. So that's going to be the same on both sides. I mirrored it as much as I could, and you can see that these are the pole beans that are coming up, which is really cool. It is kind of cloudy and sunny today, so I apologize about any differing light or light fluctuations. Now, this bed has been a little bit of the bane of my existence at this moment, and I hate to say that, but I just cannot figure out what's going on with it. I don't know whether maybe it's the soil that I put in it and the sunflowers just are not doing very well in that soil, or whether the slugs are just taking out the plants and the seedlings before they even get established all the way. But I went ahead and reseeded it with sunflowers, and I haven't even seen one come up. So other things are coming up, like whatever that is, some kind of other plant volunteer. Here we have a Cosmo volunteer coming up from last year, and they seem to be doing well. These are zinnia volunteers, but not even one sunflower. So I really don't know. I don't know what's going on with this bed. I take it back. There's one sunflower, but this is from the first seeding that I did. So I really don't know. And then there's a little cluster of them over there. That's also from the first seeding that I did. But I really am unsure of what to do with this bed. I'm thinking I might just completely amend it. Either scrape off the top layer of soil that I put on there and put down new soil, or just put soil on top. I'm really unsure of what's going on here. Now, as you can see, I think I've always been struggling with the grass in between the cinder blocks. If you are going to do a cinder block garden, I would recommend that you put some kind of fabric or something down to make it so that the grass cannot grow up in between, because it is very difficult to get rid of, because then you cut yourself on the cinder blocks trying to pull it out, and all kinds of creepy crawlies live in there. So putting your hands in there isn't super a good idea. But everything that's in here is seeming to do pretty well. Now the slugs are really taking a toll on my seedlings, but thankfully some of them are thriving. These are the Double Dutch Cosmos. I am so excited about these, and they seem to be doing really well. But right next door you see that I planted a second seeding, and the slugs are just going to town on them. But we do have the gladiolas. They're looking really good. And then I have a combination of zinnia volunteers in here, as well as zinnias that I've put in. So there are a couple zinnia plants that I've put in from the log garden, as well as there are some that I seeded, but they are suffering because of the slugs. As you can see, these two suffering because of the slugs. But I am just excited to see whatever does survive. Depending on how it does, I'll go ahead and reseed a little bit more, maybe when it warms up a little bit. This is the first year that I've struggled with slugs, so I'm hoping that as it warms up and gets hotter, they will be less comfortable in the environment. I don't know, I'm just grasping at straws here. Now this is a poppy. Actually, let me walk over here so that we can see it a little bit better. I have this big pile of straw right here that I have to walk around, so try not to fall into it. This is a volunteer poppy from last year, and it is just so cheery and lovely, and just such a symbol as I'm struggling to get plants to grow and to stay alive. This poppy is really teaching me to just trust and wait and acknowledge that plants want to grow and that God is ultimately in control of it. And I mean, I've done nothing for this plant other than put its ancestors' seeds in this bed last year, and it just looks beautiful. So it brings me joy every day. Now, here I put Helichrysum. I don't see any coming up yet. I do see other things that I need to take out or just leave. I think there's zinnia volunteers there. These are more zinnias. Oh, and the sun's gonna come out. More zinnias. Maybe over here. More zinnias and zinnias. This is gonna be pretty much all zinnias, other than the obvious poppy and the gladiolas, but those were all here before. All right, moving on to this bed. This bed is a little bit of a lot happening here. We have lots of volunteers coming back, which I think I'm just going to leave. I'm going to just kind of let them do their thing, just as long as they don't start to compete too much with the stuff that I actually want planted in this bed. But we have the volunteer carrots, which I really enjoyed the carrots going to seed last year. So I think that I'm going to just leave those alone and let them go to seed and flower, as well as the swallowtail butterflies. Really enjoyed them. Now under this branch of the plum tree, I've seeded, I think dill. It was either dill or basil right here. And we have lots of volunteer zinnias coming up because I had zinnias here last year. We have volunteer cucumbers coming back because I had cucumbers on the trellis. Now here, moving back down this way, I got some chive seedling or chive transplants at the farm store, the farm seed store. And so I plopped those in a couple different areas. We have sage, which is the same. I got those at the farm store. Plop those in a couple different areas. These are more cucumbers. And I think that the garlic, a couple of the garlics finally decided that they were going to make things happen. Lots of zinnias. This is one of the zinnias, the volunteers from the log garden. It'll be fun to see what it actually is, like what color and what shape. Now, the peas are doing really well along this trellis, although something is eating that too. It's lopping the tips off. I don't see any more that are having it done, but if we get over there, I'll try to show you what I'm talking about. Now, along this trellis, I planted cucumbers, and as per recommendation from some of you guys, thank you so much, I tried the egg shells, and I thought it was working, but somehow the slugs are still eating them. Like, there were multiple. There was 2 of them in that little spot, and there are none now, which is really aggravating and disappointing. But I've gotten a couple more tips from you guys, so I'm going to try those as well. Here are the peas again, and I'm going to see if I can find what I'm talking about. So I'm dealing with some shriveling of the leaves, which I'm not sure what's going on. Now, typically, sometimes when you see this, if you look inside this little shrivelly part, whatever is doing the damage will actually be living in there, but I haven't seen anything, so I don't know quite what's going on here. As I'm talking about, see how it just like lopped off the top? So, but they look really good. They look generally healthy, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And these little cabbage butterflies, oh, it's gonna make you motion sick for me to try to follow that. But you see carrots and zinnias, and we planted some more seeds down there, either dill or basil. I'm not able to remember. We will know when it comes up. Right here I have tomatoes, and I'll put in a picture of the variety. So that's it for that bed. And we're just gonna actually move right here, I think. Now in this bed, once again, there's just kind of a lot going on. I have lots of volunteers coming up, and I think I'm just going to go with that and allow those things to happen, depending on what it is, obviously. But a lot of them are volunteer, like plants that I actually would like to keep. So I'm just gonna let them do their thing and then plant in and around them. So this was kind of a blank space, although I do have quite a bit of carrot and dill volunteers happening. But I did go ahead and take my chamomile from the tree garden, and I planted it up here to see if it would do any better. And then here's another little chive plant. We have lots of carrot, and then the sage. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Zinnias, strawberry tucked in there. I'm gonna see if I can find a dill. Oh, I did some basil right here. I need to water them. I need to move the sprinkler. Here's some dill. Oop, squishing another one. And then these kale plants have gone to seed, and they're just so beautiful and cheery. Once again, the pollinators love them. I'm gonna leave them here for as long as it makes sense to do so. I don't really have any other immediate needs for this space right now. So they are staying right there because they add a lot of beauty to the garden. They're bringing the pollinators, and they're just so fun to look at. They are also loved by the caterpillar moths. Okay, so here we have peas again. Now, this side did not germinate as well for some reason, but I'm letting whatever's there, succeed as much as they want. Now I have, in this little spot, I'm not gonna really be able to get it in there, I don't think, but I have tomatoes, which look like they are being preyed on. Oh, sorry, here, let's do this. Being preyed on by the slugs as well. I have a bit of a plan, and I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but my plan is during the night, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna put like a red Solo cup or some kind of plastic cup down over the plant in hopes to basically block the slugs from being able to crawl to the plant. Stay tuned. Once again, don't know whether it's going to work. If it does work, maybe it'll be a breakthrough in the slug war for other people too. So here, once again, we have cucumbers, and you see that they've been being eaten off. Some of them are still alive, or some of them are still there. But you can see how is that happening? There are eggshells all around it, and yet it's still being eaten. I don't understand. Same with that one. There used to be one right there. So I'm gonna wait. I have a nice long growing season, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to wait a little bit and reseed them. But I was just trying to get a jump on it and get them growing, because when the slugs go away, a different predator is going to come out. Now here's another sage and volunteer weeds, pretty sure. Now this rose, I really don't know what's going on with this rose. It sprouts new leaves, and then the leaves shrivel up and die. Does anybody know? Does it have some kind of rose-specific disease, or what's going on with it? Not really sure what to do. I'm gonna leave it there for now and see if it can come back or do whatever it's gonna do. And then this clematis is actually still alive and looking pretty good. Puny, but given the fact that it was pretty stunted to begin with, it's looking pretty good. It puts on quite a bit of growth each day. Here we have more tomatoes, which more of them have sprouted. And I'm pretty sure both of these are cherry tomato varieties. So I planted them right at the base of this trellis, and I'm hoping that it climbs up the trellis, kind of like the one from last year. But this time it's a little bit more planned, and I'll try to train it to the trellis more. Here we have chives and this kale. Looks amazing. I can't have kale right now just because of some of the restrictions that I'm on, trying to figure out whatever's going on with my health. But I just love how it looks. I'm so impressed with how striking the plant is, and the texture is really interesting to look at. So my niece was actually over here the other day, and she asked me, she said, "Oh, Jenny, what is that plant?" And I said, "It's kale." And she said, "Oh, okay, cool." She's like, "Can I try it?" I'm like, "Absolutely, please." And so I told her, I said, "Just, take a little bit." Here's actually the spot that she took it. "Take a little bit, make sure you like it so we don't waste it." She took a little bit and then said, "Can I have some more, please?" So that was really fulfilling. Here we have a basil. This is a basil from back in the log garden that I pulled up and brought up here and plopped right there, because this kale is eventually not going to be here. So then my hope is that basil and the chive that I planted will then take over this space. I also have more basil coming up here. Now the varieties of basil that I planted were lemon and sweet. So I'm not able to remember which one that is, if it is either lemon or sweet. Here is a Zinnia Volunteer, and I have golden chamomile coming up right here. I am so excited about them. Look how many of them are germinated. I've had such a hard time growing chamomile, and so I'm really excited about that germinating, and hopefully we can keep it alive. Zinnia, more basil, and some other volunteers. Not sure. Now here we are in I think what I'm going to call it is the strawberry rose bed, maybe. This is primarily strawberries, as well as I planted some saved cucumber seeds that I had from last year down here along the trellis. I don't see any germinating yet. Oh, they are germinating! No way! Oh, I'm so happy about that. I really wasn't sure if I had done it right. Oh, hello, little friends. Thank you for the validation and the blessing you bring. Oh, that's so cool. So I actually pretty heavily sowed them because I really wasn't convinced that they were going to do anything. And I'm so blessed at the fact that they're germinating. Oh, that's so exciting. I think that they're pickling cucumbers, but they could have cross-pollinated with another kind of cucumber that I had planted on the other side of the trellis. So these are a bit of a mystery, but honestly, cucumbers are cucumbers, and I'll take what I can get. So then if we move up here, we have this rose, guys, and this is an eater of said rose. This is a tent worm. And around this time of the year, they really come out in force and they will eat this rose. But look how absolutely stunning this rose is. This I brought from the woods, and it was just one little sad looking cane with a couple leaves on it. And I put it in this bed, and it is filling out so beautifully. And I haven't done very much for it other than putting a little bit of rose fertilizer under it when I planted it. That was last year around this time, and I haven't done anything for it since then other than just weave it in around this trellis. Isn't that absolutely stunning? And the smell is, oh, if there was just smell-o-vision, like if there was a way for me to tell you accurately how good that smells, that would be awesome. So then we have the strawberries. Now the strawberries are doing really well, other than the fact that they are just getting demolished by the slugs. I have a feeling that one of the areas where I went wrong in this strawberry bed is I didn't clean up all of this debris well enough during the winter, and so now that's where the slugs are living, or one of the places the slugs are living, because let's see if I can find what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just all of them don't look. Oh, here's a good one. And then they'll be, here we go. They'll be rotten on one side, kind of like that. So that's pretty disappointing because my family absolutely loves strawberries. I mean, we still come out and pick them fresh and it's really special. But as you can see, I would have way, way, way more strawberries available if that wasn't happening. Now in this one, we just sprinkled some seeds, I think mallow seeds as well as zinnias maybe. And we just kind of sprinkled them in on top. This is a crepe myrtle or crepe myrtle. I'm not quite sure how to say that, maybe depending on where you're from. The pronunciation is different. But my husband's grandmother gave me, which is really special. You guys know how I feel about donated heirloom plants. Here's the chive. This chive used to be in there, and I transferred it in here, and we sprinkled some more seeds in here. So we'll see what comes up. This is the daisy that is putting on flower heads, which is always so fun. It's always such an anticipation of beauty whenever they start putting on flower stalks. Here are more strawberries, and this rose is putting out another really large cane. So I need to train that back over to the trellis. Here we are to the strawberries. Now we're back at this bed on the other side. So I don't have anything along the bottom of this trellis. I'm not sure what I'm gonna put at the bottom of this trellis because the strawberries have kind of taken over in odd spots. Maybe I'll just plant, you know, something in those two blank spaces, but we'll see. So more strawberries. Here are the kale flowers. A little bistro table. And I have a sunsail for over that. I just have to figure out how I'm going to place that sunsail and where I'm going to put it, like where it's gonna live. Now, here is what I'm gonna call the perennial bed for this year. Almost everything that you're seeing here is perennial from last season. So whatever this is massive. It's taking over half of this bed. And I really don't know what it is. If you guys know what it is, please share and let me know. Or even if you suspect what it is. I mean, it's got so many flower heads coming on, but it hasn't bloomed anywhere yet. And so I'm just in great anticipation of like, what are you? Did I plant you? Did a bird bring you in? Like, who are you and where do you belong? I mean, I'm loving it, but it is kind of choking out other things that I had planned for this bed, but I'm actually kind of okay with that. I mean, I've come to grips with it because it's just a beautiful plant. So we've got some kind of daisy, I think, and then under here I planted cosmos, which are struggling a little bit because of this ginormous plant. See, I mean, it's right even there. And then I did zinnias along here, which are just getting eaten by the slugs. Volunteer zinnia from the log garden. More zinnias. Daisies. Some kind of daisy, I think. And then I think that this is a foxglove. I'm saying I think a lot in this bed because a lot of the perennial stuff, I do not actually know what it is. I did a perennial seed pack and I just sprinkled it all in here, so it could just be anything until it blooms. I really am not sure of what these actually are, but I'm pretty sure this is a foxglove. But it is beautiful, even if it's not a foxglove. Look at that. Oh, I love plants so much. Okay, we'll go all over to the other side so we can see it a little bit better. Here are my willow cuttings, and this one especially has really put on some new growth. I think it's about time for me to pop these into different pots and give them some fresh soil. So that is one of the things that's on my list to do. My gardenia is dead. I don't know what happened to it, and I don't even know what to do differently next time. Oh yeah, it's just completely dead. Oh well. Okay, so let me come around this side. So here are those little flowers, and some of you may have known what they were the whole time. I had no idea, and they are definitely different than what I thought they were, but they're absolutely beautiful, and they bring such a pop of color and joy to the garden space. Here's some more of the foxglove. Oh, I just cannot wait for that to bloom. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. So let's move on to the wheelbarrows. So if you can see the difference, this is the one where I scraped the seeds, and I did not scrape the seeds on that one. I will definitely be scraping the seeds from now on. Anytime I plant the nasturtiums, which are these kind of lily looking ones on the outside. Granted, I did put far more seeds in this wheelbarrow than I did that one. But even still, even the germination and the health of the plants that did germinate look far different. It's exactly the same soil, exactly the same seeding method. So scrape your nasturtium seeds. The proof is in the pudding. So here in this one, we just have the nasturtiums and the marigolds. So these little dwarf French marigolds. And then I plopped in a zinnia volunteer from the log garden. Oh, there's 2 zinnias. I was getting kind of desperate that day on where to put them, so I got a little crazy with it. I just started putting them anywhere. So here we have the nasturtiums, and then we did the petunias around in like the U there, and then the marigolds, and yet another zinnia volunteer from the log garden. I should make a shirt with that. A zinnia volunteer from the log garden. Here is one of the sunflower beds. So the only difference between this sunflower bed and the one up front is the soil. This is the soil, just the horse manure that I've been amending for a couple years. And the one up front, I put those flower pots in, and I just dumped all the flower pots out, and so it's a different type of soil. I don't know if that's the difference, but that's the only thing I have to go on. And you can see that these sunflowers, the ones that have been able to fight off the slugs, are doing beautifully. I mean, they do have some damage from something, but it's not killing them. They're still thriving. So yeah, I don't know. Once again, if you guys have any advice for me, I will really enjoy that. Really appreciate it. Now, I did mammoth sunflowers along the back, and the first time I did it, they germinated. They germinated beautifully. They were coming up. The slugs took them out. I reseeded them, and nothing has come up. So once again, I'm just very stumped. Either the slugs are eating them before I'm seeing them, or they're just not germinating. So here is what I presume is daisies. I'm pretty sure these are painted daisies, if I'm remembering correctly from when I seeded them. Now here we have the camellia that I don't know is doing any better from last time. Maybe a little bit greener, but I don't know. Does it have some kind of disease that I don't know about that I can... Oh, look, it's putting on a little bit of new growth, though. That's good. If I can... There we go. So that's good. That's improvement. I'll take it. I'll take it. So along with lots of weeds, once again, like I told you in the cinder blocks, it's a constant struggle with the weeds around here because it grows up underneath the cinder block, and I can't get down to the root of it. The grape, one of them is looking beautiful. And one of the blueberries. Once again, I have another pile of straw right here, trying not to take you guys with me to the ground. Blueberry. And then the grape stalk that doesn't appear to be doing anything. I don't know. Should I contact the company and tell them? Or just keep waiting? All right, I had to come over to the other side of the fence because I did little seeds in here and they're coming up. Oh, there's just something about little seed babies that just brings such joy. These are petunias, and these are the carpet zinnia. Carpet zinnias. And these won't be all so close together. I have them close together now because of the way the sprinkler works and where it falls. So these are petunias, and then a little succulent that was dying a terrible death on my front porch. And then I brought back here and replanted, and it's doing really well. This plant is such a survivor. I wrote it off so many times and it just kept on coming back, so it's earned its space. So here are the trees that we got. Now they are still in bags, as you can see. I'm just making sure that I keep them very well hydrated, lots of water, because I don't want them to dry out. Obviously they do not have very much soil, but they're looking really good. We are waiting for some heavy equipment to become available in order to dig the holes for where they're going to be permanently living. So we don't want to rush into putting them somewhere and disrupting them. And we absolutely need heavy equipment in order to break through what is our rock hard soil surface. And so here they wait, but they're looking really good, and I'm really grateful for that. I have red cabbage and some carrot volunteers from last year. I'm really not sure what I'm going to be doing with these. I made these last year from pellets, and they're pretty cool. I mean, I made them myself greatly, and so they're pretty cool. They're a bit rickety and they're not square and all of the things, but you know what? They're still a functional gardening space, even though they're small. And I had visioned them on either side of our railing in front of our home, but it was just way too hot, and anything that I had in there was just getting baked by the sun. So I brought them back here and put them beside the garden bench, and they're a nice little accent for sure. So there's another one there. This one's much bigger. I had just noticed that. See? I have no idea why. This chair is looking for somewhere to live, so it just got plopped there. But we've been having some really windy days, and so it actually has been offering some support for these so they don't fall over completely. But you can see it's leaning. It's like just on a lean. And so I'm really looking forward to getting these in the ground because I really don't want them to suffer. But they are looking pretty good. They don't look like they're suffering at all. Like I said, as long as I keep them watered and out of direct sunlight, so I put them here by the house, and so they get shade for probably half of the day, and they seem to be thriving in that in their current living situation. Now this one, I don't know whether it's actually dead or not. Because I see absolutely nothing happening. The only green I see on it is right here. But other than that, it looks like that. So, I don't know. But we'll keep it around, give it a home, and see what it can do with itself. Guys, as you've probably caught on already, and if not, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. This is going to be an as-is garden tour experience. As you can see, I have weeds, I have grass that I'm fighting. This is a relatively new space. So, this was all grass, lawn. So I am going to be fighting with weeds. It is not always clean and put together, and it is of great growth that I'm operating from this place. So you guys are going to experience that. And I hope that it blesses you in some way and makes you realize that perfection isn't necessary. Doing your best is what is honoring to God and honoring to you. And, if you're giving 100%, then that's all you can do. And right now, in where I currently am in life, this is 100%. And putting it out to you guys so you can see it is growth, because I definitely struggle with the sense of failure or the sense of something not being good enough, but things are still growing here, and it looks beautiful, and it is going to feed us, and that is really what matters. And I'm hoping that it blesses some of you. Like I said, making you know that as long as you're doing something, you're doing something, and you're honoring God. So, welcome to the log garden. Let's go ahead and see what we've got going on. One day, guys, this space will look all clean and not have any debris in it. I just have so many different projects going on that I get called away from in a hurry, and I have to kind of drop it and move on to the next thing. So one day this will be more completed, and hopefully be more put together, because that is definitely what I would prefer. But like I said before, I'm operating within my means in this season. So here at the edge we have onions. Now these onions are really, I think, just kind of going to seed. I haven't checked the bulbs on them, but they are sending up flower stalks. So based on my understanding, once they start doing that, they are, going to seed. So the onions go all the way down to this post, and I do not have anything planted beyond that. And let's turn around here. And I'm so excited about these because this is the furthest that I've ever been able to grow broccoli, and that looks like broccoli. I mean, that is a head of broccoli, and I'm so proud of it. And it looks so beautiful. So we have just a couple of them that are nice big heads here, and then they kind of get smaller. Oh, that one's doing okay. And then along the trellis right here, we have the tomatoes. So we have 9 total plants. We have Parks Wonder for 1, 2, and 3. And the sun just came out again. So I'm gonna try not to shade the shot here. We have Golden Jubilee for 1, 2, and 3. And then, what is this last variety that I got? Juliet. And there's 3 of those. And then we have the cabbages, and they all look so beautiful. They're such a striking plant. Even though there are so many weeds and so much grass, I'm really just trying to focus on the absolute beauty that is this space and realize that God is meeting me in this space. Even in its ugly, God's beauty is really teaching me so much. And that's normally how it is, isn't it? The sunflower volunteer, I have no idea how that got there. We have some kind of melon volunteer, potato volunteer, some kind of squash, I think, more flower volunteers, and I think I'm just gonna leave this space because so many volunteers are coming up. Maybe once the volunteers get a little bit better established, oh boy, I'll come in and see if I can get rid of some of this grass. But even now thinking about it, because as the volunteers get established, the grass is also gonna get established. These are Brussels sprouts on both sides. So many zinnia volunteers. I mean, all of these are zinnias. Zinnia. So I'm going to leave all of that. Now this is going to be the sweet potato patch. We'll go over there a little bit more and look. Here are our melons or squash. I have no idea what it is, but they're doing amazing. I'm excited to see what they are. Or maybe it'll be some kind of hybrid. That'll be cool. So these are all cabbage. Now, these little butterflies or moths have been all over these plants. So it is only a matter of time until I start to see these plants getting eaten by the caterpillars. But my plan is to let that happen, like let the caterpillars hatch and then give it all to the chickens. And, give the chickens a little bit more protein. But they are so striking. I mean, look at this. That is such a beautiful plant. Look at the detail in the leaves. God made that for us not only to look at, but to feed us and nourish us. Just incredible. Now these, I think are just going to seed. Just based on the way the shape they are, how they're kind of standing up. They're not laid out. They were kind of laid out a little bit more like, oh no, those are really, let me see if I can, no, I don't actually see one that's doing it anymore. But they were a little bit more flat before, and now they look like they're shooting up, but they're beautiful. Now coming over here, oh yay, they're starting to sprout. So along here are green beans, and they're actually starting to come up. I need to turn the sprinkler on down here so that they don't dry out. So those are all along here, all along that white string, except for they don't go all the way down to the end. They're gonna stop at this volunteer squash plant. I thought that was a convenient marker. And these are golden beans. And they're all, look at them. Oh, little friends, little delicious friends. So I wasn't sure if these were going to germinate because I wasn't sure my soil was warm enough, but once again, just trusting God and trusting the leading, and the leading was go ahead and plant it. And I followed that, and now they're coming up. So that's amazing. So you see, okay, so all of this is not planted with anything that I planted this season. You see, I'm really struggling with grass. There were some volunteer stuff in here that I transplanted over here, which I will take you over and show you. And I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with this space as of right now, but you can see volunteers are kind of coming up everywhere, which is really special to me. Once again, it's just proof that plants are going to grow, whether I stress about it or not and feel overwhelmed by it or not. And they're growing in the grass. Granted, I know that the grass is going to choke them out probably at some point. So if I want those to thrive, I will have to do something. Maybe this is a Cosmo volunteer. There's a carrot that I gave the chickens while the chickens were on this space. So there's nothing here. I'm gonna succession sow beans. So that's what the plan is there. Here are our zinnia. This is should we call it the zinnia corridor? They all kind of must have fallen into this trench that I did for irrigation. And yeah, they look beautiful. I'm gonna leave them all. So this is where the sweet potatoes are going to go. Haven't done very much with it. There are volunteers coming up, so I'm just gonna leave it as is for right now. My husband is pounding in a T-post for a fence, so you'll be hearing that in the distance, which is okay. Little volunteers. Guys, have I said before how wonderful my husband is? I think I have, but you know, you guys can't hear it too often, too much. More volunteer, it looks like a squash of some size, some sort, like a zucchini. Marigold, and then the potatoes are looking great. And my plan is to come in here and mulch them pretty heavily because they are getting pretty big. I know I was supposed to mound them. I don't know if I've waited too long. What do you guys think? I need to call my mom and ask her. Does anybody else do that? Just, hey, call mom. She would probably know. If you haven't caught on, I'm very close with my mom. She is a wonderful, wonderful person who is a rock in my life for sure. So potatoes come around this side as well. And then these are the little volunteers that I dug up and planted along here. And so some of them are doing well, some of them are looking a little iffy, but we'll see. You know what? They were either going to die completely or have a new lease on life, and that's what I gave them. That is it for the log garden. Garden tour number 3, 2023. It looks absolutely beautiful, and soon I will imagine it's going to be even more full of stuff and bursting at the seams, and I cannot wait. It's one of my favorite things how the sun dips back behind the trees, so it shades our property, but then it also touches the tips I was gonna say tippy tops the tops of these trees, and it is just one of my favorite things, especially when there is a sunset. Like it's gets that real deep orange or pink. It's absolutely stunning. Okay, we're gonna walk by the log garden because I showed you guys that earlier, but over here we have the tree garden. I didn't really do a tour of the tree garden earlier. So here we are. Now you can see that we added a hammock, which is glorious. It's so nice. We've had this hammock for years now, but we just added it to the tree garden. Now, I think that I'm going to let this space kind of be what it is. We have volunteers coming back. So zinnias are coming up, and plants that I really don't know the names of because I sprinkled a seed pack in here, like the wildflower seed pack, or, you know, like hummingbird mix. So there's so many different kinds in there. And I am just gonna let it be and not allow it to pressure me to do a whole lot with it. I'm going to mention it in a different video as well, but last year when I created all of these spaces, I was in a good swing with my health, and so I had a lot of energy, or a lot more energy, and I had the energy to create the spaces as well as care for the spaces. And this year I am just not in that place, and so I just realized that I can only do what I can do. This is a volunteer coming back from last year. And well, we have honeysuckle coming up the tree. That's going to be nice. So yeah, I can only do what I can do. And this is one of those spaces that is just going to be put on the back burner. And I'm realizing that it might be so surprising and teach me so much more leaving it alone and letting it do its thing than me trying to force it into doing something else. So these are actually little oak trees. So I'm gonna let them establish over the summer and then maybe try to transplant them this fall to places where I actually want oak trees to be growing. So that is the plan for the tree garden. And I might actually transplant some of this stuff out of here to a different area where I actually want to care for it and look after it more than it's going to get in this space. For example, these echinacea or cone flowers, there's two of them. There's one there and one here. Now, this will be these plants, let's see, third year of life, third year of growth. So this one is really putting on some beautiful flower stalks, but I'm not sure whether it's supposed to be this tall. I don't know whether this is its version of getting leggy because it's not getting enough sun, being shaded by the trees. So I really care about these plants and I would like them to get the best that they can have, but my fear is that maybe it's thriving, and if I move it and it's not going to do as well in full sun. So I'm still thinking about that, and we'll make that decision. I still am not sure what this is. I think it might be yarrow. I don't know. What do you guys think? I once again have planted and seeded those wildflower mixes. I'm pretty sure had yarrow in them, but I really don't know what that is. I'm really excited for it to bloom. Now we have the herbs here. This is oregano, and then we have another oregano. And I'm not sure, these are one of the things where I'm not sure whether I'm going to leave them. They seem to be doing pretty well here. So do I leave them? But I don't plan on weeding this space. I just plan on letting it go and doing its thing. Now we have this bee balm, but this bee balm, let me move this out of the way. This bee balm has some kind of something going on. It kind of looks like a powdery mildew. I don't know why. I've never seen the flowers on this bee balm. This will be the second year I've had it. And last year it was not this big. So do I move it? Do I wait for it to die back and then move it in the fall? I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna move this thyme. But it's actually putting on some growth as well. But that is what I have going on in the tree garden as of right now. And you know what? We're gonna just see what it does together, you and me. Leave it alone and let it do its natural thing without very much intervention from me. See what comes up. I see quite a few different types of trees coming up that are really cool, like this sassafras right there. And I've heard that these have medicinal properties. This tree has medicinal properties. I don't know if it's focused. There we go. I don't know exactly what those are, but we have lots of those coming up.